Office address that this will just go away. And he was contradicting his health officials. That is a dangerous place to be. That's why you have these people like Dr. Fauci who can come out there and tell you what's actually going on. And I did think that the coverage of the Oval Office address was warranted when you had to have 3 corrections.
Well, we'll get to that in a second, Jessica. I want to bring Griff Jenkins in and ask you this. There was the president held a news conference on Friday afternoon. There was a question he did not like from PBS's Yamiche Alcindor. Take a look.
You said that you don't take responsibility, but you did disband the White House Pandemic Office, and the officials that were working in that office left this administration abruptly.
Well, I just think it's a nasty question, because what we've done is, and Tony has said numerous times that we've saved thousands of lives because of the quick closing. And when you say me, I didn't do it.
Griff, the president may not have ordered the closing, but it was a couple of years ago, so certainly he must have become aware of it. Why was that a nasty question?
It's a fair question, because we are looking. No one in this country has ever lived in this. 3,000 cases, 49 states, 57 deaths. There is a role for the fourth of state, as it's known in the press, to press on these things. Do we have enough respirators? Do we have enough hospital beds? All of these things, aside from Americans changing their daily lives, going to grocery stores, trying to social distance, we also need to uncover any weaknesses. The question, the president may have not liked the way it was asked, but it's fair, because we need to know where all of our weakest links are in the chain. And if we disbanded an office and there was something that we need to play catch up with for a problem that we don't know how bad it's going to get, we need to ask those questions sooner rather than later.
Now, Ben, I think many journalists welcome some of the steps the president outlined at that Friday afternoon White House news conference, the partnerships with business and so forth. But my question is, he took a lot of criticism from the pundits and the press for answering a question by saying he doesn't personally take responsibility for the slowness in testing, which, of course, is at the heart of this. Your response to that?
Well, I think that, in the buck stops here at a certain point. The president needs to be able to say, this was a situation where we clearly had a glitch, a failure in our process, one that has slowed down the process of testing. But testing, to me, is kind of beside the point at this juncture. We need to be working on mitigation. We need to be building, additional space within hospitals. We're well beyond the point where testing is even the major issue that we need to be grappling with here. And I think that this is, a real test of the president's leadership in a sense that he hasn't really faced before. People compare it to Katrina, or they compare it, to situations that have come on presidents' desks before. These are the moments that really test you as a leader. And I think that the president, to a certain extent, his defensiveness reads poorly in the media when he ought to be saying, look, I've already gotten to the next step of this thing. Right. We're going to be building new hospital wings. We're going to be making new space because we're anticipating the kind of patient crunch that everyone who's an expert says is coming.
Well, it's a test for the media as well. And Jessica, I think you were starting to talk about the Oval Office speech, and the president got really pounded by the press for several errors that the White House quickly had to correct. For example, not making clear that the 30-day ban on people coming here from Europe didn't include American citizens and residents, as well as it didn't affect cargo or trade. How could a speech of this importance to this president have not have been vetted more carefully?
Well, it's interesting. The Washington Post had a piece about this where they were stipulating that the speech was properly put into the teleprompter, but the president ad-libbed those parts. And that is something that he loves to do. You even saw it on Friday in the Rose Garden speech, which I think was widely praised, I would say, besides his Q&A where the interaction with Yamiche went on. People thought it was generally good. Obviously, the stock market thought that it was good. So the idea about the Oval Office address is that it didn't say in the teleprompter that we're banning cargo and that Americans can't come home and that insurance companies will be covering the cost of treatment. They will only pay for the testing, or the copay will cover it. So I wonder if that actually was presidential ad lib or it was a mistake in the teleprompter. Right. But all reports indicate that they were messing with that speech up until the very last minute, and that he was seeing it actually for the first time, which I understand we are in a pandemic situation, but you need at least an hour beforehand for someone to review it, especially someone who is not as comfortable with teleprompter reading and has not been doing this his whole life.
Well, it was a rush speech. The Dow went down 2,000 points a day after the president's speech, but it went up 2,000 points after the news conference, which got better reviews. And Griff, yesterday at another of these White House briefings, I'm glad they're holding them, Surgeon General Jerome Adams told reporters that here's some straight talk from the nation's top top doctor, no more bickering, no more partisanship, no more criticism or finger pointing. I agree with the first two, but no more criticism.
Well, listen, to have the Surgeon General, you know, Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence deserves some credit. He has been out there every day. He's been calm, and he's leaned heavily